All right, so I've been going through a bunch of boxes in the garage, dividing up stuff for my sister, for myself, stuff my mom's gonna keep, and going down memory lane, finding so much stuff, like stuff I haven't seen since I was a kid, right? I mean, what? So here's just a quick sample. This folder is filled. The bicentennial keepsake from the Detroit News. Kick ass. But this folder is filled with these similar illustrations and paintings, higher quality, that are framed. And then I got this uniforms of the United States Army. My dad would have been a historian if he didn't make so much money being a mechanical engineer. He was big into drawing, illustrating, painting, miniature figurines and model kits, different types of scales. So I found like so much different types of stuff. As a mechanical engineer, right? So how to use a slide rule. Different types of font that you would just choose in a drop-down menu these days. See if I can show off something here. So, still a lot more to sort through, but in the den where just like all this stuff was set up. Yeah, it was an archery as well. In the den where all this stuff was set up, behind the door, as you would open it against the wall, what did I find? Actually, it's my dad and my mom. I believe that is on their wedding day. I'm guessing around 67. This is from 1968. Yeah, hanging against the wall. So it would be just behind the door when you opened it to the den. This January. I believe 1972. Fire indeed. Magnificent.
We want to thank you all for joining us here, assisting us in honoring this year's 1972 Playmate of the Year, England's own, proud to say, Marilyn Cole. Marilyn, you'll certainly make a lot lovely Playmate of the Year for us, joining these other lovelies. And I have some things here to give you on behalf of Playboy. You get some $15,000 in prizes.
In addition to the title, Playmate of the Year in 1973, Marilyn Cole will receive a $6,000 Volvo 4-seater sports wagon in Playmate Pink, $5,000 cash prize, trip for two to Mexico via Mexican Airlines, designer ensembles in Playmate Pink.
Marilyn Cole, ladies and gentlemen, that is correct. The very lovely, amazing, stunningly beautiful Marilyn Cole. So my father had that set up just as is, hadn't seen that framed centerfold in many, many years. He had it just behind the door when you opened it up on the wall to his den, which was like this mini library. Outstanding. It was amazing. Had the video game console in that room. That was the room where all my friends wanted to hang out, right? So that video with the award, that award presenter, I'm pretty sure is Victor Lowndes, Lowndes, Lownes. Says here in Wikipedia, he's the executive for HMH Publishing Company, later known as Playboy Enterprises, from 1955 through the early 80s. He ended up marrying Marilyn Cole. He was known for dating a lot of playmates, but he ended up marrying Marilyn Cole. So, looking at Wikipedia, this guy Victor Lowndes, I think he's the one that is the image of Playboy. He's the one that Hugh Hefner wished he could be. I think he's the Jack Kirby to Hugh Hefner's like Stan Lee. That's not too harsh of a comparison to some. It's going off the cuff here, all right? All right. Marilyn Cole. Marilyn Cole, today I would say she could be Wonder Woman. For show. Amazing image, wasn't that? God damn. Turns out that image right there that we saw of Marilyn Cole from 1972. So Lowndes, he says here, Victor, he had accumulated a fortune during his years as Britain's best paid executive. And he still had his wife, Marilyn Cole, whose affections he and Hugh Hefner had both attempted to gain. Marilyn was the first frontal Playboy Playmate of the Month, January 1972, and the Playmate of the Year again in 1973. She continued to pose for Playboy until 1984 and became a journalist for The Observer, Esquire, and GQ. What else is there to say but Marilyn Cole, goddess. On the right, that is artwork by Nathan Zerdy. That's S as in Sam, Z as in Zulu, E-R-D-Y, Nathan Zerdy. It's the Virgin variant exclusive cover art for John Carter of Mars, number 3, Deja Thoris, from Dynamite Press. I actually have 2 of those. Total of $42, including shipping. On the left, Wonder Woman, issue number 790. That's the B cover. First printing by Paul Pope. It's out of this year, 2022. And I think Marilyn Cole, if you see how he signed it with those Greek letters, I think Marilyn Cole would have made a great Deja Thoris easily. Yeah, this intro to this video is inspired by that channel of Crypt. It does Playboy Playmate of the Month videos that he does in addition to his comic book exposés and his collection hauls. Yeah, check his channel out. Word, Crypt. Action Comics reprint. Don't keep up with new comics, so I try and get a copy of the Action Comics reprints. I've got a few. I got a few.
Jerry Siegel writer, Joe Shuster art, the first superhero from 1938. Speaking of Superman's first appearance, fighting the establishment, taking on corrupt businessmen and congressmen, in addition to even a wife beater, domestic abuse cases. Speaking of taking on the establishment, $20 a piece. The Boys. This is the new gold font edition. Art by Derek Robertson. Art by Garth Ennis. So I know there's the free comic book day reprint. Got a newsstand, I suppose, for the first print. Or did the first print only just have that barcode? Anyway. Doubles of each of those. $20 a piece. 2022. Word up. That's right. Hope you're having fun. Thanks for checking out that intro. Yeah, no more Mom's Basement. I am transferring all my stuff to storage. And it's me and my storage payments for the rest of my life. Marvel Premiere issue number 51, newsstand. You really want to get those comics, in my opinion. 82, 83. 83 is like a cutoff for me. And earlier, in direct. So this is a continuation of him fighting the Klan. I think it's like Hate Monger. It's in this storyline. Got the first issue here. It's not a direct, right? Because you want to get more direct editions from like the late 70s when they had those packets of comic books that the stores couldn't return. Typically a newsstand, a bus stop, a drugstore, grocery store, they would return the comics by cutting off the title, and then this would get scanned. You know, they get their money back or a credit towards more sales. But people were working that system, and there was a racket going on with that. So eventually, you know, they started off having these packets of comics, 3 or 4, but there was a slash through them. And then eventually when the comic book store got created by like 1980 pretty much, they just had an image in here because they didn't need the barcode. The comic books were sold to the comic shop directly. That's why it's called a direct edition to the comic shops. They could not be sold back. They couldn't be refunded. So, yeah. Side note, you know, comics today, it's, especially from the big two, it's like they're being made to be sold to comic shops, not to actual readers. Anyway, got a stack of Copper Age comics here that I'm starting off with, then some stuff from the 80s and then early 2000s. Most of this is Copper Age, following up from my last 2 hauls, actually. So what up? Maybe that's Sequential Geek. Welcome to Comic Book Haul 69, part 11. That's right. Thank you for visiting. Welcome. Greetings. It's a nice October warm weekend. Been doing some shopping past few weeks, following up on some orders that have been finally just pouring in from eBay and Hip Comic, a little bit of Amazon buys. So this one is from a comic book shop here in the Denver area. So this story arc, it ran for 3 issues, and it's a continuation of the Jungle Action story arc with Black Panther versus the Klan that ran from issues 19 to 22. I think it's Don McGregor storyline for that. Each cover for this Marvel Premiere story, it was these 3 issues, 51, 52, 53, that continued from that other story arc. Each cover is from a different artist. Frank Miller does issue 53. I don't remember who does issue 52. Yeah, I just looked it up. Steve Badansky. I never would have remembered that. Never would have remembered that. Do not know who that is. Bob Badansky. Inks Steve Liola. Issue 51. It's almost like a Batman-esque Daredevil-like image here. Him creeping over the rooftops, about to make his kill. Nice Al Milgrom cover. Love these colors as well. But those are Klaus Janson inks. That one was for $10. This was for 20. David Cockrum cover and interiors. Chris Claremont story. I think in the storyline it turns out, it's from 1981 by the way. Uncanny X-Men 145. I think it turns out something like Doom got exiled temporarily from Latveria. And he's holed up in this amusement park version of a castle that Toad had. So like what? Is there like a ring of supervillains? Then he hits up Magneto, and Magneto's like, yeah, the Toad has a room available in his fake castle, so perhaps you can stay there. Right. It's not bad shape. Wavy here. Doom tries to court Storm, I believe, in this. Is that the term? He's hitting on her. Awesome image of him and her. It's like tattoo worthy right there. That Paul Smith image of Storm with the mohawk, I think, is cool, as well as right here. That Doom just chilling right there. Presents. Okay, so they are dining, having dinner. Arcade is having the rest of the X-Men go through all these traps. And there's another comic. There's another issue of the X-Men I'm thinking of. Anyway, looks like he just took down Colossus. Amazing, just great artwork, exciting comic. 1981. Check it out. A couple contrasting images of Storm here. Here we go. 1983. Paul Auster artwork. This is pre-Mohawk Storm, but we get some storytelling revealing how what a badass Storm is. Because her parents died. It was during the Sinai Peninsula War. I don't know. A jet had crashed in a building that her parents were staying in. Not sure. I think one of her parents was like a journalist living in Egypt, Cairo at the time. Anyway, when she survived the accident, her hair was white. Just a little girl. She was homeless. Lived on the streets. And Farouk, what's it called, like the Dark Lord or something like that? This crime lord, psychic, mutant, ran a bunch of crime syndicates, and she was just a small little pickpocketer working for him. She didn't even know he existed at the time, but there was some story where Xavier had some mind battle with Farouk, killed him, or at least knocked him out, so that I think that lack of management of all the crime on the streets allowed Storm to be free of being a slave, living on the streets, having to be a pickpocket for these crime bosses and stuff. Street gangs that are ruled by these crime bosses. She refers to this woman as Irene. Oh, interesting. So this is issue 170. Rogue joins in issue 171. And we got Rogue right here, running away from home. Mystique goes into the bedroom and she's gone. This has to be the fallout from Avengers Annual 10, I'm guessing. Got a reference to Dazzler issue 24, 25 right there. Wild. Look at this one Morlock right here. He's just messing with her face. Crazy. Yeah, because it was around Avengers 10. I was a big Avengers fan, so then when the X-Men crossed over with that, this is when I started reading X-Men by 171. Definitely by 175. That cover with them against Dark Phoenix on the cover, 175, is pretty crazy. So Storm is going to have a knife fight. This is one of the coolest scenes. Marilyn Cole. Wonder Woman, Deja Thoris, Storm. Let's move into some Copper Age. Well, I'll be damned. Look at that. Classic movie comic center. This is the shop. ASM $2.98, $4. That's the shop that the first comic book shop. It's a huge comic book shop in the Detroit area. I think it was like Middle Belt and 6 Mile, 7 Mile, right by the Livonia Mall. So I would go there on the way back from art lessons and saw them in the news. I think it was 1982. They did a feature on this shop. It was huge. One half was all comics. The other half, the side to the right, was like collectible toys, and it's a pretty amazing place. We got here, 1987, Overstreet's Comics Price Bulletin. All right, got a list here. Oh, LS is limited series, okay. Doing some type of inventory. I'm not sure what is going on here. I think I'm separating with that X-Men 140 and the Alpha Flight 1 and 12. Yeah, I'm separating my valuables, I guess. My key comics. How far did I go? How many pages are we talking? This paper is in pretty good condition, like it has not been used, gone through much. Wolverine 1, Batman Death in the Family, Legends of the Dark Knight, green, red, orange, yellow. Spider-Man, silver. Yeah, this was a couple years after this. If this was 1987, I had ended my first phase reading comics, collecting, spending money.
But this over here is interesting. 1986, number 1. Woohoo! Top 10 hottest back issues. G.I. Joe number 1. Swamp Thing is 9 and West Coast is at 10. Interesting. Hot news about the Dark Knight. Nice. Conan number 1, $70. I was a big Avengers fan, so Avengers number 1, $400. And that price, I mean, I remember around 2001 at Golden Age Collectibles at Pike Place Market, they had a fine to very fine copy for $300. Publisher Overstreet out of Cleveland, Tennessee. All right. Oh, nice. These are some characters I made up. Astral has the ability to enter other people's dream world. Nice. Ace can detect shape, control, mass, and temperature of all metal alloys. But cannot telekinetically move alloys and control size. Okay. Okay. Nice. Inferno promo, sweet. One of the worst events. That and Secret Wars 2. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. This Inferno event, like I said, by end of 87, it was the beginning of the end. By 87, it was the beginning of the end. When Secret Wars 2 came out, it was a huge red flag, the way that was handled.
Speaking of Morlocks here, that Storm story of her being a badass, issue 210, 30 issues later, the Marauders find out that it's a evil plot created by Mr. Sinister. They went on their genocidal massacre, the mutant massacre, talking 1986. $10. Oh yeah. Also want to mention, shout out to Cobalt Comics. They're on Parkway, 5494 South Parker Road in Aurora, Colorado. Cobalt Comics. Brandon, the owner, is having a birthday just last week. And on Halloween in a week, it will be their 4-year anniversary, I believe. So what, Vision Comics allowed to stand there. 6-year anniversary last month in September 2022, and now we got Cobalt Comics 4-year anniversary 2022 Cobalt Comics. So if you see Brandon, the owner, really nice guy, nice small little shop, definitely for a small shop. They got great back issue stock. So if you see Brandon, tell him happy birthday to both him and his shop. What is up? Cobalt Comics. They have a 15% off sale for their anniversary. $10. Chris Claremont, John Romita Jr. 1980. Perhaps you could say the end of the Bronze Age right here, but 80 for me is Copper Age. issue 226. We're now talking, this is the team that was pretty much with the Fantastic Four before John Byrne took over. Doug Munch doing the writing with Bill Sienkiewicz art. This is Bob McLeod doing the inks, but I think it's Joe Sinnott that does the inks a lot with these Bill Sienkiewicz Fantastic Four comics. Bill Sienkiewicz, Bill whatever. Bill, let me go to his website. SIEKIEWICZ Sienkiewicz. He has the pronunciation at the top of his site. Bill Sienkiewicz. Check that out. BillSienkiewiczArt.com. Now that font right here, where it says Samurai Destroyer, the FF Journey. I suppose right there as well. This artist is a famous letterer, Gaspar Saladino. Well, he's from Brooklyn, New York, but I wanted to mention it because I was just looking up some info here, some trivial info. He used to also have a pen name called Lisa Peter Greg. Last name Peter Greg. Right? He has 3 kids, Lisa, Peter, and Greg. Reminds me of GPAP. Shout out. GPAP. What up? Fantastic Four 236. Amazing cover right there. Right? So we're talking early 80s, like 1982 right here. This is a direct edition. And these images at this point was bought at a comic book shop if it's by 1982. Beautiful John Byrne cover. Wondering now, is that supposed to be Stan Lee right there? I don't think John Byrne included anybody else as far as employees at Marvel. '20th anniversary of the Fabulous Fantastic Four. John Byrne cover with Terry Austin inks. 68-page comic book. What do you guys think? Is that from a production error, or did somebody cut that trying to cover up something, some type of flaw? Before 238. John Byrne cover with Terry Austin inks. Stan Lee in the upper corner of that other cover. And now we got John Byrne in the lower right corner here. The origin of Frankie Ray, who becomes Nova. Another great choice for Marilyn Cole. It's not until issue 244 when Galactus turns her into Nova, but turns out her stepfather, Horton, Professor Phineas T, middle initial T, Horton, he's trying to revive his original creation, the Human Torch. He has some type of chemical that's used to enable the fire, and it gets spilled on Frankie Ray. She accidentally drops it, or it spills all over, and so she becomes, I forgot what she calls herself. Human Torch. I don't know. The Human Torch. She sacrifices herself to become a herald of Galactus to save Earth in issue 224, becoming Nova. Just thought it was interesting how in the Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X story, isn't it that doctor, or is he called professor? Isn't his name Phineas Thornton? Thor? No middle initial. Thought that was interesting. Point that out. It's from a Weapon X story from 91. 10 years after this. Well, issue 241. This issue is from the year 1982, which I thought was interesting because it's about how the X-Men find this little secluded culture, civilization that's stuck in time from ancient Rome. Okay. It's just outside of Wakanda, apparently. This John Byrne story. A year later, New Mutants issue number 8, 9, and 10, they have that story that takes place in Nova Roma, a little pocket, ancient civilization, but it's somehow Rome. But that's in the Amazon. Was there some phenomena of people finding, like claiming to find pocket Roman civilizations, old ancient Roman civilizations in obscure parts of the world? Was that going on in the early 80s? Some type of phenomena like Bigfoot or seeing flying saucers or hollow earth or something? I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. We got a New Mutant story in 83. That's by Chris Claremont. Now this a year earlier, pocket little ancient Roman civilization in Africa. Featuring guest appearance of, that's right, Black Panther. That was Fantastic Four 241. Fantastic Four 246. These are just rounding off either getting a triple or upgrading a copy of a double that I already have. So, or maybe I got like a newsstand in one, I'm getting a direct in the other. So just finishing off my Fantastic Four John Byrne collection. This is out of 1982. Too Many Dooms. John Byrne. John Byrne wrote for, God, was it 50 issues? 60 issues from 232 until 292. This land is my land. Come on, sing it with me. You know it. That Latvian national anthem. This land's not your land. From the Danube River through Romania. Ha, ha. If you don't like it, well then go fuck you. My ruler is Dr. Doom. Yes, this land is mine. Dr. Doom, 247. One of my favorite Dr. Doom covers. $24 I paid for that, including shipping. Thank you, John Byrne. So I think it was like an Uncanny X-Men issue. God, it was like 167, 168. There's a couple of panels at the end. It's Chris Claremont story, Paul Smith art, where Lilandra is leaving a holographic voice message with Reed Richards telling him how he screwed up, how in Fantastic Four issue 243 he had killed Galactus, or everybody was trying to stop Galactus, but then they brought him to inches from death, and it was Reed Richards that brought him back. Reed Richards, I don't know, he had some theory about it. They needed him for the balance of the universe, or I don't remember the reasoning exactly, but this is Lilandra now reaching Earth, having her Imperial Guard led by Gladiator. I think that's that dude's name. It's not Guardian, is it? It's Gladiator. It's the Gladiator, yeah. And he's this, like, kind of like a knockoff of Superman. Because the way that, like old school 1950s, I don't know, maybe 60s Superman, he could just lift the corner of a building without that corner tearing off, right? Like, it's physically not possible to just grab a skyscraper by the corner and just lift it and swing it around like a bat. This guy, you know, the physics of it, you know, the corner would just tear off, so forth. This guy can do that. He's kind of got that, I don't know, riff off of Superman. Yeah, Gladiator. It's almost like his strength, super speed, invulnerability, flight. It's almost like it's based off of just his will. I think that was the story behind it. It's just a cool character design. This purple Superman-like guy with a mohawk. He's part of the Share Empire's Imperial Guard, the leader of it, I believe. So I showed you this 1980, yeah, Fantastic Four 226 with Bill Sienkiewicz art, Bob McLeod inks. Here we are in 1983, Bill Sienkiewicz cover of Thor 333. Dracula hypnotizes Lady Sif. According to comics.org, that's Bill Sienkiewicz, pencils and inks. That cover. It's a Mark D. Bright who did the interiors, if you're wondering. You know, some $25 comics, some $38 books, a few here and there, but I'd say between like $4 and $12 were the average price of these comics. Some more Copper Age goodness. Let's move on here with direct edition copies of Marvel Tales. 1981. That's a Jack Kirby cover. First appearance of Spider-Man. Reprints of Amazing Fantasy 15 out of 1962. Interior pencils, you know it, Steve Ditko. Stan the Man Lee script. Yeah, shout out to PghZombie. He was talking how he's loving Marvel Tales comics. Trying to get a run, I think just up until 150. It's wild. I see 1981 up here. But according to comics.org, I'm looking at a March 1982 cover date. What the hell? March 1982. Yep. So Steve Ditko did the art on Amazing Spider-Man until issue 38. That was in 1966, July. John Romita Sr. took over. Had some technical difficulties, some interruptions. Reprint of Amazing Spider-Man number 8. Marvel Tales. July 1983, first appearance of Kraven the Hunter. Reprinting Amazing Spider-Man out of August 1964, issue 15. Oh, and by the way, that woman Irene that Mystique was referring to in this comic, I looked it up, it's Destiny. Interesting. It's like they made her more of a mother figure in this comic. I thought they made Destiny, at least in the woke version, her and Mystique were lovers. Marvel Tales, issue number 158. and 159. First appearance of Scorpion. J. Jonah Jameson pays Dr. Stillwell to turn Mac Gargan into the Scorpion to try and capture Spider-Man. Stillwell's formula makes Gargan become more evil than he originally was, and Scorpion goes on a rampage. On the right, that awesome Ditko Beetle. So that's Marvel Tales, December 1983 cover date, and January 1984 on the right. That issue 159 with Beetle on the cover. That's a reprint of February 1965's Amazing Spider-Man number 21. Beetle tries to take revenge on the Human Torch. Marvel Tales 161 and 165. Randomly saw those online for sale. On the left, that came out, Marvel Tales, March 1984. And that's a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man 23 out of 1965. Marvel Tales 175 and 176. Yeah, it's worth holding out for those higher grade newsstands, let me tell you. So issue 177 of Marvel Tales is actually a reprint of the last Steve Ditko issue. An eye out for that one. So on the right, that's a reprint of issue number 37. And on the left, that's a reprint of issue number 36. Originally printed in 1966. Those are Marvel Tales issues, May and June 1985. 19 years later, we got these really cool Steve Ditko reprints. These were popular in the 80s. People were buying these. I mean, let me know what y'all think. $4 for the one on the left, $6 for the one on the right. Store bought. Would you pay those prices for high grade newsstands Marvel Tales Steve Ditko reprints? Including shipping, this was $15. It's not bad. It's really difficult, though, to find a newsstand that's VF or better. I've yet to find one. I haven't really been looking all that much in the past year when I've gained some interest in this comic. But yeah, I'd say this is the 25th anniversary issue that I'm really looking for in high-grade newsstand. It's a Steve Ditko portrait of the sensational Spider-Man. What's up? That is November 1986 cover date. So what is that? Ron Frenz and John Romita doing the border art. It's the only 25th anniversary Marvel comic that I'd be interested in getting. Newsstand. It's really hard to get this in high grade newsstand. $15. The Sensational Spider-Man. Check this out. Great memories, good times. Bought this off the turn rack. They had a couple of them over at the Reading Railroad Express, 11 Mile Middle Belt. This is July 1982 cover date, so probably came out like in May. She-Hulk joins in this issue. This is an Ed Hannigan cover, Joe Rubenstein doing the inks. Yeah, pencils for Bob Hall on the interiors, but it's a Jim Shooter story. David Michelini doing the script. It's great memories behind this, that bright red with the array of everybody's faces. I didn't know about who all everybody was at the time. I was just getting into the Avengers, maybe a couple years into reading comics on the reg. So yeah, that was pricey. That was $36 for that Nairmint direct edition copy. This was $25. This is when Roger Stern started. Kind of to follow up on that little Avengers expose I did my previous haul. Roger Stern wrote from 227 till 287. A few issues before that, around 284, is when Jim Shooter was no longer the editor-in-chief. First time Captain Marvel is in the Avengers. She joins in this issue, and it's one of my favorite characters from the 80s, from the Copper Age, is Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel. She is the shit. She's my jam. This police detective turned superhero. She can turn herself into any form of light, any form of energy. Very underutilized character, just waiting for the right writer with the right scientific and literate background to turn this into one of the most interesting superhero comic books. Captain Marvel. Roger Stern started his run with Sal Buscema doing the interior artwork. But that cover is a Brett Breeding cover. Yeah, the classic Roger Stern run from the 80s starts here. In case you're interested and you want to read something great from the 80s, go from Avengers 227 to Avengers 287. So, Molecule Man, he appeared in the Avengers issues 215, 216, and 3 times. And issue 266 is the 3rd time. This is the Canadian price variant, 95 cents. The denouement, the conclusion to Secret Wars 2, where you find out how the creation of Molecule Man, which I think was like in Fantastic Four issue 20, this explosion that went off in this, I don't know, some type of weapons, experimental weapons compound. He's like a low-ranking person there, maybe even just a janitor, and some atomic explosion occurs. It opened up a rift in space-time that allowed the Beyonder to be aware of this Marvel universe. And that's how 20-something years later, when Marvel Superhero Secret Wars started, written by Jim Shooter, that's when the Beyonder created that battle world. Roger Stern. John Buscema art. That was $19.90 for that Canadian price variant. So yeah, you find out that his origin is linked with the Beyonder. Cover date, January 1984. Al Milgrom art, Joe Sinnott inks. The Avengers Annual. Really no significance with this book as far as, you know, keys, collectability, investment. This is just, you know, it reminds me of a good time in my life. When I was into the Avengers full swing. Wasn't too crazy about Al Milgrom at the time. I mean, just very stiff, generic looking. Like I said before, it's almost like you could just, there'd be joints in these images and you just position them. And that's how he would have all of his panels designed. Very stiff looking, basic looking art. Sorry, Al. I love you, man. And I do love your artwork, but sometimes it just looks like you phoned it in. I got this because it just reminds me of good times, man. This is also the Canadian price variant, by the way, $1.25. This is nostalgia's sake. Yeah, my first initial is A. Oh, by the way, so that's Al Milgrom with Joe Sinnott inks, right? Cover date January 1984, so it's probably towards the end of '83. And here's Al Milgrom on the left with Klaus Janson inks around 1980. 1979. All right, I'm going to wind this down quick. Show off me 3 more comics here. Call this haul a haul. All right, out of March 1986 cover date. So we're talking like January. For $6, store-bought, newsstand edition. Nice high-grade copy. Yeah, neat spine takes in here. Yeah, I got it because it's like a World Trade Center knockoff. That's how I'm seeing it. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Better watch out. And that cover is by Kyle John Baker. Very cool. Santa Claus busting a square. This is the first issue under the Swamp Thing title. Previously, it was Saga of the Swamp Thing. This takes place before issue 5 on Crisis of Infinite Earths. I am just having one heck of a weekend. I am beat. I started a new job. It's like I work until 7. And just the hours, a change in hours. Not adapting too well to that. Getting off at 7. It's like I really don't have any days off. It's just like one a week, it feels like. So at least I'm working. Seriously. Save up some little bit more money. Get my ass back to Michigan. Which would be nice for a change. Wow, I turn 51 tomorrow. Holy shit. There's a lot going on. Started this new job, got to relocate, got to go through all that stuff, all these boxes in the garage, and do not have a lot of time. If anybody has any feedbacks, any resources for selling books, different types of books, stamps, coins, different types of like art materials, drafting materials, let me know. Yeah. On that note, I'm just gotta chill out and get some other things done. Like, just relax. So I hope y'all get some rest today. Have some time to kick back, relax, open up a couple of trade paperbacks like I'm about to do, and enjoy your day with a comic book. At least the next couple hours. So I've had small windows of time to get stuff like this done. I was hoping to get a bunch more comics in, but next time. All right. Thank you very much for checking out this video. God bless Marilyn Cole. Hope to see y'all swing by again. Peace out. Not so fast. Let's not forget this random issue of Yummy Fur I found. No idea where. It's issue number 8. Chester Brown from 1987. This is printed by Vortex. This ran for 24 issues, and the first few issues of this reprinted the self-published Yummy Fur comics by Chester Brown, and you've got 2 different stories in these comics. One are these bizarre, really weird stories. Some of the characters, it kind of reminds me of like this one that I showed. I did a review of a Yummy Fur comic book, a previous haul, where it was almost like George Harriman's Crazy Cat, where he created his own language, or it sounded like a mixture of languages. But the situations were always kind of like you're thrown into the middle of it. That's what I love, but very bizarre. I don't know how to explain it. Black and white comic. The second stories are stories taken from the Old Testament, interpreted sequential form. This first story, just to show you really quick, is these people are in a tunnel, and this one guy has Ronald Reagan as his dick. There's another comic that has this. He gets shot. These people find him in a tunnel, and they're exploring under the earth. I have no idea. They shoot him in the gut, and they killed the woman he was with because they didn't know who she was. So they just leave him there. And it turns out his dick is from this different dimension where little people exist. Yeah. And it's Ronald Reagan. And these 2 scientists have some television show. And they've got some small, tiny professor who they're trying to help him find his friend, which is this Ronald Reagan that when he entered this dimension got attached onto this weird motherfucker's dick. Yeah. the fuck? And they're introducing these people from this other dimension that they found. And they're saying that they've got Ronald Reagan, and she recognized this is the person that shot that other woman that was with the guy with the Reagan dick. Mm-hmm. So what else to follow it up with but the story about Herod and how he marries his brother's sister, excuse me, his brother's wife. And John the Baptist talks about how it's hearsay and she has him imprisoned. Her daughter, the king's like, all right, I'll give you whatever you want. And so the daughter asks her mother what to do, and the mother says, get John Baptist's head on a platter, because the king wouldn't kill John the Baptist. He didn't want to martyr him. He goes off to tell the story about how Jesus has all these people following him like sheep without a shepherd. They follow him to this remote location, and they start to starve, so he turns all this fish and wine, makes it plentiful, feeds everybody. And on that note, thank you for watching Comic Book Haul 69 part. Peace. Peace out. See you next time. Thanks for swinging by. God bless Marilyn Cole.
Aluminum tennis racket, atomic glass, 2000 fiberglass skis, Janssen swimsuit wardrobe, jewelry by OG International, Konica pocket 35mm camera, Lady Sequel boutique series dress.
How do you fend off the flood of requests for dates?
I don't get them. Round case of sparkling Ethan Milch, Marco Polo, Down and Smith ski apparel, Unari ski booth, Panasonic Quest View AM FM stereo system with 8